You finally do all of that work to free yourself of an unhealthy relationship. You're normally expecting peace. You're even expecting joy. You're expecting to feel like you again. And that doesn't tend to happen because we can discard the narcissist, but you cannot discard the trauma that the narcissistic relationship inflicted on you. And guess what? Narcissists know this, and they use two things against you. They use your unhealed wounds and your lack of understanding of their intent to either do one of two things. They're either going to reel you back in because they love to spit someone out only to reel them back in, right? That's a tremendous amount of power to be like, wow, I treated them so bad. And look, I can just do one little thing, give them a little tiny crumb of something, and they come back into the relationship. So they either want to do that, but if they can't do that, then the alternative, narcissists are always in polarized states, right? They either want all of you or they want to cause you to feel like you're crazy and to be so dysregulated that no one will believe you. So we don't want that to happen. So let's dive into those things that you can expect when you discard a narcissist. The first thing that often happens is that we mistake discomfort for danger. So for example, imagine you lived your whole life in a house where the lights were always flickering. There was a ton of noise. There was constant chaos, right? But that was your normal. That became familiar to your body. And then suddenly you leave and now you're living in this nice, calm, peaceful cabin. You would think that your body would be able to sigh and relax, but the change, right, registers in the body as threat because it's different. And the body gets used to the familiar. And so now when you've removed all the drama from your life and there's no drama, right? The narcissist is gone, no unhealthy relationships in your life. Your body can actually interpret the lack of drama as if there's something wrong, and it can make you feel very uncomfortable. If you don't understand this, this creates this pull to go back to the familiar. And again, it's not because being with the narcissist is good or better than the circumstances you're creating now, but rather it is familiar. And the nervous system, especially a traumatized nervous system, prefers a safe familiar than a healthy and happy unfamiliar. The second thing you can expect from you if you've discarded a narcissist is you might confuse guilt with love, especially if you have unhealed trauma from the past and if guilt was used to control you in your childhood. After leaving a narcissist, guilt may make you think things like, maybe I did overreact. Maybe I did make it more problematic than it was. Maybe I'm the one that's the narcissist. Maybe I ruined everything. But we have to remember that that's not love. That's trauma bonding. Your body got conditioned to feel connected through caretaking, fixing, or fawning. So remember, the guilt isn't proof that you did something wrong. It's actually a sign that your inner child is scared of being made to feel bad for protecting his or herself. The third thing you want to look for actually has to do with the narcissist, and it is the famous hoover. Believe me, narcissists can sense when you're vulnerable. It's like blood in the water to a shark. They can sense it. And so out of nowhere, you might suddenly get this nice text, an apology when the narcissist has never apologized before, or a message of, I miss you. And it usually comes at the eeriest timings. I've had clients tell me that it's like at that moment when they completely want nothing to do with the narcissist, that's when they get these messages. Again, energy knows no bounds. There's no time and space between energy. And so narcissists can sense a shift in you, especially if you've been feeling guilty. And so what you want to remember, the narcissist is not reaching out because they have changed. They are reaching out because they miss their narcissistic supply. And so if you've been feeling guilty, your unhealed abandonment or your unhealed wounds make you easy prey for them to try to reel you back in. And this is why it's so important to do the inner work to heal, because until we can regulate those inner wounds on a somatic level, not just understanding them, then we're vulnerable to feeling that pull back into the relationship. The fourth thing that can happen is that you wind up gaslighting yourself without realizing it. After leaving the relationship, your mind is playing over and over, scenario after scenario, conversation after conversation. And in every narcissistic relationship, it's not 100% bad. There are good moments. And so your mind starts going back to those good moments and you start questioning yourself. You start doubting yourself. This self-gaslighting is actually your nervous system's attempt to find coherence in a relationship that made absolutely no sense. Here's something to remember. Healing at this point is not about rewriting the past. It's about building capacity to fully feel what happened in the relationship and doing so without bypassing, minimizing, or numbing out of it, which is not easy because it is uncomfortable doing this inner work to heal. The fifth thing that you can notice and you want to look out for is you wind up craving the chaos because it feels like home. The reality is there is a reason why people that have escaped narcissistic relationships find themselves back in another familiar dynamic like that. It's a hard one to swallow, but what happens is our body has been trained to associate unpredictability with intimacy. It's like being addicted to a roller coaster. The highs feel euphoric, the lows feel like death, but what's missing in a roller coaster is stillness. Nobody gets on a roller coaster for stillness and peace. And if you were not allowed to trust stillness as a child or in a long-term relationship with a narcissist, then stillness feels like threat in the body. And here's a scary truth, guys. If you don't get sucked back into a relationship with a narcissist, you can accidentally cause drama in a new relationship with somebody healthy because this dynamic of relationships or intimacy is synonymous with chaos stays alive in the body. So it's something we really want to watch out for. Number 6 is you freeze when you try to speak your truth. So you finally get distance. You think you're going to be able to tell your story, your side, your truth. You're going to be able to set boundaries. But when the moment comes, it's like your mind wants to do it, but your body freezes. Your throat closes. Your voice completely disappears. This is a sign that you're in the freeze trauma response, which is a survival strategy from your past. You see, the body doesn't heal from narcissistic abuse just because the narcissist is gone. You now have to teach the body that you're allowed to speak your truth, that you're allowed to hold on to your reality even when other people have a different perception. And you want to help your body to relearn that truth no longer leads to punishment. Number 7, you mistake loneliness for loss. After leaving a narcissist, which was a relationship full of so many highs and lows and so much chaos, the silence can sound so loud. You feel this deep ache inside your body. But here's what you need to know. That ache has nothing to do with them. It's really about the parts of you that were never allowed to be seen, heard, or honored. So this is the part of the healing that hurts the most. And we get confused. But you have to remember, you're not mourning them. You're mourning the hope that they could love you the way deep down you know that you deserved and needed. And you're feeling the grief that deserves space. Number 8 is you get re-traumatized by well-meaning people. People that don't understand why you're ruminating. They don't understand why it's so hard to end a relationship with somebody that's unhealthy. So they might say things like, oh, just move on. At least it wasn't physical abuse, or everyone has problems in relationships. And maybe they're well-meaning, right? But those phrases are like knives in the heart of somebody that's recovering from this type of emotional trauma. Survivors often get re-traumatized because the world doesn't see covert abuse. They don't understand it. They can understand a broken bone, but they don't understand the pain that's inflicted in your soul with this type of manipulation. And so that invisibility can make you question your own pain. And sadly, when we don't understand it, it can drive you right back into isolation or contact with the abusive person. The ninth thing you can expect, and this is not an all-inclusive list, but something you want to look out for, is if you find yourself carrying the narcissist voice inside your head. Even when they're gone, it's like their voice lingers in your mind like a ghost, saying things like, "You're too sensitive. No one's ever going to love you the way I did. You're the one that's the problem." These voices aren't just thoughts. They're stored survival strategies. And until you can go into the body and unravel the trauma that gave those words power, you'll keep living under their spell, even in their absence. So those are 9 consequences of leaving a toxic or narcissistic relationships. And I'm not going to lie, those consequences are not pretty, but they are also not proof that you did something wrong or that you made the wrong choice. They're proof that your body is waking up and that you're now seeking safety inside of yourself instead of bypassing that and trying to only get safety by making someone else happy, which, by the way, is a trauma response. It's the fawn trauma response. If this resonated with you and you're struggling through any of these consequences of leaving a toxic relationship, I want to encourage you to do the inner work to heal, to find that inner safety inside of yourself. And if you can't do it alone, I want to invite you to come join us weekly in the School of Transformation. I meet live with survivors from all over the world, and we do the inner healing work together. We don't just talk about healing, we teach the body how to unlearn survival responses, how to release the stored trauma, and how to come back home to yourself. So if this video spoke to you, you're already on the path. Let your next step be guided and trauma-informed support in the School of Transformation. Because freedom after narcissistic abuse, it's not just about leaving them. It's coming back home into you.